What if I told you there's a way to plant your garden once and harvest fresh food for the next 20 years without replanting a single seed? While your neighbors are spending hundreds every spring on seeds and seedlings, you could be harvesting from plants you set once and forgot about. These 20 perennial crops will save you time, money, and backbreaking work. And number one will absolutely blow your mind. Number 20, walking onions. Picture this, an onion that plants itself. Sounds impossible, right? Walking onions, also called Egyptian onions, were the ultimate lazy gardener's dream in colonial America. These remarkable plants form clusters of small bulbs at the top of their stalks. As the season progresses, the weight of these bulbs bends the stalk down to the ground, where they root themselves and start new plants. It's like having a garden that tends itself. Your great-grandfather planted them once along his fence line and never worried about onions again. The bulbs walk across your garden year after year, spreading naturally and giving you fresh scallions and storage onions without lifting a finger. They're so hardy, they'll survive winters that kill other crops, and so productive that one planting can feed a family for generations. The best part? They're virtually pest-free and require no fertilizer once established. Number 19, asparagus. Here's the crown jewel that separated the smart homesteaders from the amateurs. Asparagus beds planted in the 1800s are still producing today. That's over 150 years of continuous harvest from a single planting. Your ancestors knew that patience paid off with asparagus. Plant the crowns once, wait 2 years for them to establish, then harvest the first tender spears of spring for the next 25 years or more. These weren't just vegetables, they were investments that paid dividends every spring. The thick, fleshy roots store energy through brutal winters, then send up those prized spears when nothing else is growing. Smart farmers would plant asparagus beds for their grandchildren, knowing it was a gift that would keep giving long after they were gone. A mature asparagus bed can produce 15 to 20 pounds of spears per year, worth hundreds of dollars at today's grocery store prices. Number 18, rhubarb. Every old farmhouse had a rhubarb patch tucked away in some forgotten corner, and there's a reason why. This hardy perennial thrives on neglect and produces those tart, pie-perfect stalks year after year without fail. Rhubarb was the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it crop. Plant it once in good soil, and it'll outlive you, your children, and probably your grandchildren. The secret lies in those massive underground crowns that store energy like natural batteries. They can survive droughts, floods, and winters cold enough to freeze the ground solid. Come spring, those thick red stalks push through the soil like clockwork, ready for pies, jams, and sauces that made pioneer kitchens famous. One established plant can produce 8 to 10 pounds of stalks annually, and the medicinal properties of rhubarb made it worth its weight in gold to families who couldn't afford doctors. Number 17, Jerusalem artichokes, sunchokes. Don't let the fancy name fool you. These knobby tubers were the ultimate survival food that Native Americans cultivated for centuries. Jerusalem artichokes are so productive and persistent that your biggest problem won't be growing them. It'll be controlling them. Plant the tubers once in fall, and they'll multiply underground all season, giving you crunchy sweet tubers every autumn. They taste like a cross between potatoes and water chestnuts, and they're packed with nutrients that sustained entire tribes through harsh winters. The plants grow tall with bright yellow flowers that look like small sunflowers, and they'll spread naturally to create a permanent food source that requires zero maintenance. What's remarkable is that these tubers actually improve the soil as they grow, breaking up clay and adding organic matter that benefits other plants. Number 16, horseradish. One horseradish root planted in good soil will provide fiery, sinus-clearing condiment for decades. This was the crop that cleared congestion and preserved meat for generations of American families who knew its value. Horseradish roots burrow deep and spread wide, creating an underground network that's nearly indestructible. The thick white roots pack a punch that puts store-bought horseradish to shame. Dig them in fall, grate them fresh, and you'll have condiment so potent it'll bring tears to your eyes. The good kind. Plant it once, and you'll never buy horseradish again. The antimicrobial properties of fresh horseradish made it essential for food preservation before refrigeration, and it's still one of nature's most powerful natural antibiotics. Number 15. Chives. These might look delicate with their slender green leaves and purple flowers, but chives are tougher than old boot leather. They'll survive winters that kill other herbs and come back thicker every year. One small clump planted today will divide and multiply into dozens of plants, giving you fresh onion flavor for soups, eggs, and salads for decades to come. The flowers are edible too, adding a mild onion taste and beautiful color to salads. Chives were so reliable that pioneer women would transplant clumps to new homesteads, knowing they'd have seasoning no matter where they settled. They're also natural pest deterrents, keeping aphids and other harmful insects away from nearby plants. Number 14. Sorrel. This lemony green was a springtime staple in colonial kitchens, and for good reason. Sorrel comes back every year with tangy leaves that add a bright, citrusy flavor to soups and salads. It's one of the first greens ready to harvest each spring, providing fresh nutrition when winter stores were running low and scurvy was a real threat. The leaves have a sharp, refreshing taste that wakes up your palate after months of preserved foods. Plant it once in partial shade and it'll self-seed and spread, ensuring you'll never be without this vitamin-rich green that kept our ancestors healthy. The high vitamin C content made sorrel a crucial anti-scurvy remedy for sailors and settlers alike. Number 13. Good King Henry. Here's a forgotten vegetable that sustained European settlers through their first harsh American winters. This spinach-like plant produces edible leaves, tender shoots, and even edible flower buds. 3 vegetables from one hardy perennial that laughs at frost. Good King Henry was so reliable that it earned its royal name from grateful families who depended on it. The leaves can be cooked like spinach. The young shoots taste like asparagus, and the flower buds add protein to meals. Plant it once, and it'll self-seed and spread, creating a permanent source of nutritious greens that thrive in conditions that kill other crops. The plant's ability to produce food in 3 different forms made it invaluable to families who needed maximum nutrition from minimal garden space. Number 12. Sea kale. Despite its name, sea kale grows anywhere with good drainage and was considered a delicacy in Victorian gardens. This cabbage relative produces thick, tender shoots that were blanched under pots to keep them white and mild. The flavor is like asparagus crossed with broccoli, rich, nutty, and absolutely delicious. Sea kale plants live for 15 years or more, producing bigger harvests as they mature. The thick, fleshy roots store energy through winter, then send up those prized shoots in early spring when fresh vegetables were worth their weight in gold. Wealthy Victorian families paid premium prices for sea kale shoots, making it one of the most profitable crops for market gardeners who knew its secrets. Number 11. Turkish rocket. This peppery green was brought to America by immigrants who knew its value and refused to leave it behind. Turkish rocket produces spicy leaves perfect for salads and cooking, with a bite that adds excitement to bland winter meals. It self-seeds readily, ensuring you'll never be without this nutritious green that adds kick to any dish. The plants form rosettes of deeply cut leaves that keep producing through multiple seasons, and they're so hardy they'll grow in poor soil where other crops fail. The leaves contain natural compounds that aid digestion and boost metabolism, making them both flavorful and medicinal. Number 10. Perennial leeks. While regular leeks are annuals that die after one season, perennial leeks keep producing year after year. They form clumps that get bigger with time, giving you mild onion flavor for soups and stews that sustain families through long winters. These were essential in medieval gardens and deserve a comeback in modern homesteads. The thick white stems provide the same flavor as regular leeks, but the plants multiply naturally, creating permanent patches that produce for decades. Unlike annual leeks that require replanting and careful timing, perennial leeks are always ready when you need them. Number 9. Wild ginger. This native ground cover produces edible rhizomes with a spicy bite that'll wake up your taste buds. Wild ginger spreads naturally in shaded areas where other crops struggle, carpeting the forest floor with heart-shaped leaves and producing aromatic roots that Native Americans use for both food and medicine. The rhizomes have a hot, gingery flavor that adds warmth to teas and cooking. Plant it once in a shady spot, and it'll spread into colonies that produce spicy roots for generations. The medicinal properties include natural anti-inflammatory compounds that rival commercial ginger. Number 8. American groundnut. Here's America's forgotten potato that sustained Native Americans and early colonists through harsh winters. Groundnut vines produce protein-rich tubers that taste like a cross between potatoes and beans. The tubers are so nutritious they were called Indian potatoes by settlers who learned their value from indigenous peoples. The vines climb naturally, making them perfect for growing on fences or trellises while producing food underground. Plant them once, and they'll spread along their root system, creating permanent patches of high-protein food that improves with age. The tubers contain more protein than regular potatoes and can be stored for months without refrigeration. Number 7. Ostrich fern fiddleheads. Every spring, these majestic ferns produce tender fiddleheads that taste like asparagus crossed with green beans. Ostrich ferns spread naturally in moist, shaded areas, forming colonies that produce gourmet vegetables every spring for generations. The tightly coiled fiddleheads emerge in early spring and must be harvested young for the best flavor. Native Americans and early settlers knew these as reliable spring food that appeared like clockwork when winter stores were nearly exhausted. Today, fiddleheads sell for $15 to $20 per pound in gourmet markets, making established colonies incredibly valuable. Number 6. Perennial bunching onions. These Japanese imports form clumps that get bigger every year, unlike regular onions that die after producing bulbs. You harvest the green tops while leaving the roots to multiply, creating permanent patches of fresh scallions. One plant becomes dozens over time, giving you fresh onion flavor year-round in most climates. They're so productive that a small patch can supply a family's onion needs indefinitely, and they're hardy enough to survive in climates where regular onions struggle. The continuous harvest means you'll never run out of fresh onions for cooking. Number 5. Caucasian spinach. This climbing spinach produces heart-shaped leaves with a mild flavor perfect for salads and cooking. Unlike regular spinach that bolts in hot weather, Caucasian spinach actually improves with age, producing more tender leaves as the root system establishes. The vines climb naturally, making them perfect for vertical growing in small spaces while producing nutritious greens that taste better than store-bought spinach. The leaves are rich in vitamins and minerals, and the climbing habit makes them perfect for small urban gardens where space is limited. Number 4. Perennial sweet peas. These aren't your garden variety sweet peas that die after one season. Perennial sweet peas produce edible pods and shoots year after year, climbing naturally and making them perfect for growing on fences or trellises. The pods are rich in protein and have a sweet, nutty flavor that made them valuable to families who needed every source of nutrition they could get. The vines fixed nitrogen in the soil while producing food, improving your garden while feeding your family. They're also beautiful, with colorful flowers that attract beneficial insects and pollinators. Number 3. Daylily buds. Every part of the daylily is edible: buds, flowers, and even the tubers. These tough perennials multiply rapidly, giving you edible flowers that taste like lettuce and buds that rival green beans in flavor and nutrition. They're beautiful and productive, the perfect dual-purpose plant that decorates your garden while feeding your family. The buds can be harvested continuously without harming the plant, and they're packed with nutrients that made them valuable to Asian cultures for centuries. A single established clump can produce hundreds of edible buds each season. Number 2, perennial kale. Tree kale and other perennial kale varieties keep producing leaves year after year without replanting. These hardy brassicas laugh at frost and keep growing through winter in many climates, providing fresh greens when nothing else survives. The plants get bigger and more productive with age, developing thick stems that support massive harvests of nutritious leaves. They're so hardy, they'll survive conditions that kill regular kale, and so productive that one plant can feed a family. The leaves are sweeter than annual kale and become more tender as the plant matures. Number 1, 9-star perennial broccoli. Here's the ultimate perennial vegetable that'll blow your mind. 9-star perennial broccoli produces multiple heads of delicious broccoli year after year for up to 5 years from a single planting. Unlike regular broccoli that produces one head and dies, this remarkable variety keeps producing smaller heads continuously throughout the growing season. The plants get bigger and more productive each year, eventually producing dozens of heads from a single plant. It's like having a broccoli tree in your garden that keeps giving and giving. Plant it once, and you'll have fresh broccoli for years without replanting a single seed. The heads are smaller than regular broccoli but more flavorful, and the continuous harvest means you'll never have more than you can use at once. These 20 perennial crops represent generations of wisdom about growing food that lasts. Plant them once, and they'll feed your family for decades, just like they fed our ancestors who knew the secret of working smarter, not harder. Hit that subscribe button to discover more forgotten secrets that'll transform your homestead, and check out the next video on your screen about the banned vegetables your great-grandfather grew that you need to plant today.